Hello. I'm going to try to keep this quick. I know it's been a few weeks. Um, I'm I've got a million excuses, and they're all valid. They really are. But that's not what anybody wants to hear. Can't stand hearing excuses myself. Um, but I'll get. Let me just jump straight into devoid of everything that's happened over the past couple of weeks, and let me talk about Aurora because I was on the first album, and I ran into an issue where I found myself not having the words or not being able to express exactly what it was I wanted to say, and so I ended up going in and I decided I'm just going to listen to this entire album, and over that over the last few weeks, the album's grown on me a lot, and while I'm at work and I'm listening, boy, I've got everything. But then I sit here at the computer, and none of that comes out. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I don't know if I guess it's the pressure of the camera, pressure of knowing that you're doing it. It's so easy to have conversations in your head when you're by yourself. Let's say you have an argument with somebody. Well, you come up with all the perfect points, and everything's just like on the dot. You know it's perfect, and then you might have a chance to redeem yourself, and you struggle to get out that first big point. They counter it with something, and then you stay on that point, and nothing ever gets resolved, and you forgot all the other points that you wanted to say. Um, so I made a few Aurora videos the same day that I made the last one I released. I did like 5 in a row. And I just found myself repeating myself and never saying what I wanted to say. So that's why I decided to listen to the whole album. Now, there is one song that was, I think, probably worth editing and releasing, but I couldn't. It was terrible. It was just terrible. And then I decided to jump back into listen to Harry Mack because he's always been inspiring to me. And about halfway through it, I was like, oh, I was on. And the second half, I wasn't. I'm like, I come to the conclusion at the end. All of a sudden, I think it was during one of the Aurora videos, I caught myself at the end saying, wow. And why that matters, it probably only matters to me. But it was like, okay, I've ended probably 20, 30 songs now with that exclamation, wow. And then I'm like, so it gets in my head, and I'm like, am I saying that naturally? Is it just sort of one of the, a phrase like, yeah. There's and when I say yeah, I mean exclamation points, yeah. I know several people that open up their conversation with, yeah, and and for some reason it irks me just a little bit, and I don't know why. It shouldn't. I don't like discount everything they're going to say afterwards, but I always know. Oh, here comes Johnny Walker. He's gonna start the very first thing out of his mouth. Going to say, "Yeah, it sure is hot today," or here comes Susie Q, and she's like, "Yeah, the other day," and it's like, so those little things I notice. So then I'm doing this Aurora video, and that was the beginning of it. I had already said probably wow at the end of the first song, and then the second song I'm like wow, and it just hit me, and I just stumbled from there on out. It's like dominoes. Um, so I didn't really want to re-record it. I wanted to move on to another song, and I was like, by the end, I made myself not say that. And so then I'm stuck on, okay, you didn't say that, you didn't this, and I don't even know what to say after that because my natural language is generally when I hear a song I like and I'm talking to somebody, I would say, wow, that's really cool, or, I don't, I don't know because it's not something I picked up on until that moment. And so anyway, this one little, what is it? It's like I don't. What's the word for being like? It's neurotic, but it's like a neuro tendency. I don't know. Anyway, that's not important. Um, but so every time I would listen to the album, I would start to have a. I started hearing stories, and I was going to make this separate, a whole separate video called "This Is I Have a Problem with Aurora," or something along that. And it wasn't. It was more clickbaity. But of course, if people like Aurora, they probably don't want to hear that. But it really wasn't a problem with her or the music, because I'll just go ahead and say, yeah, I'll just go and spill it. The album's fantastic. Her whole first album is fantastic, and I have anyway. Go back to see. I get stuck on things. I may end up if I end up saying what all this instead of doing what I was going to do. Golly, see, I'm so lost now. Then that might be the title to this video. Hell, I don't know. I don't know where I'll go with it, and I may not say what I wanted to say. But the whole point is that first album is so precise. It's almost perfect that it's hard for me as someone who I like perfect albums to put on and clean or to work to. I don't. They're so easy and they're so comfortable that you don't get stuck analyzing or being like, oh wow, that was so cool. Or you have your high moments, you have your low moments, and that album plays out a lot like what I would call the first of maybe either a trilogy or even a two-part. But it sounds like it's almost like it's half an album, and it's only because they don't finish it at the end. It's the perfect hero's journey album from the way it sets you up to begin with. I mean, through every song. See, this is why I do want to do another video and explain why I see it that way. But it was very well produced to cater to basically to be a big pop sensation, and it worked, and it was a breakout success. And I am so happy for her, and she deserves all the flowers. And the people that worked on it, they deserve all the flowers. And I'm hoping that moving forward, after she was able to get that success, that I don't know because I haven't gotten into the second album yet. Did they? I've heard like one song from it, and it doesn't really sound like they continued that. It's almost like it did sound like she got a little more freedom to be creative in the way that maybe she wanted. And of course, she was a young artist and discovering herself. But I feel like that album in particular was that she was brought, they discovered her and brought her in, and they brought in a hell of a producer, which I haven't even looked up who it is and their accolades, but they decided they're going to stamp out the perfect album. And the only reason I say it's not 100% perfect is because somewhere at the end of my hero's journey, when I hear it, it's almost like at the end of the Lord of the Rings, Frodo gets in his boat and he's like only halfway through his journey, and that's how it feels about 2 or 3 songs before the album's over. And then there's like weird remix stuff, and it's almost like they just shoehorned in some B-sides or some songs they didn't really know how to fit into the formula, and they just tacked them on to the end of the album. Now, I was curious if that was like something that came out when it was streaming, a deluxe edition, or if that was the exact state of the way the album released, because it does feel like it has a beginning, a middle, a bridge, and like an ending. And then there's just a few songs afterwards that they don't fit with that flow. So I was curious about that, and I tried to look up a little bit, and I couldn't quite find what I was looking for. And maybe I'm just searching for an answer that doesn't exist, and I just want it to be that. But it did feel that the end of the album tapers off into just things that don't really fit with the front 90% of the album. There's I don't have it in front of me, but there's a why am I in OBS like this? I am blah 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 blah. Anyway, made better. I don't know. Anyway, um, what the heck am I talking about? Yeah, so I actually think I do want to dive deeper into why I see all that. I don't even know where we started with this video. You guys know me. You know how I do. I get so lost. Um, I'm gonna try to get a little bit done this weekend, but I'm currently working on my house, and there's a lot to do. And I would love to try to get a video about that. It's going to be very, if I do, I'm just going to spill the beans. I'm a hoarder, and I live with someone who is a complete slob. In fact, um, I'm a slob myself, but I'm not a complete slob. I don't ever let it get. I don't let it get to the point where there's rotting things that rot. It's just what I have is stuff, and I don't really have a choice. I mean, we always have a choice. It's either sell this house and move, or I'm stuck because this is a family situation, and I don't own this house currently. My mother owns this house. And so she allowed for another family member to live with me years ago. It's never worked. It's always been me clean up after someone who's only 2 years younger than me. And I got to the point where I just gave up. I couldn't do it anymore. And things have really spiraled. So I'm trying to get back. Ever since I started this, that was an easy distraction. But then just a few weeks ago, I wanted to start getting back into making actual music. And then I found out I don't even know how to play the instruments anymore. Now, it would only take, if you used to play music, it should only take you a few weeks. If you actually like spend a couple hours a day, you kind of get your chops back. But you have to you gotta warm up every day. You gotta set it down, come back, and you can't just try to play like one thing over and over again. You just gotta play as much as you can, get it as good as you can for the moment, move on, and you can come back to it. But anyway, I can get my chops back. I've done it before. I've quit playing the guitar for a year, picked it up, and be like, I don't know how to play anymore. Within a couple of weeks, 90% of what I was. So you do that enough times, I'm like probably be 50% of what I was 10 years ago. It's really depressing when I find like old little snippets, recordings on a phone or like a little tape player or something. I'm like, how in the hell was I able to play that? Because back then I thought that was trash. And now I'm like, I'd be looking up to it like, dude, that stuff's pretty cool. Now, it was never perfect. That was my problem. I never perfected any of it because I didn't have enough. Well, for me, I really want drums. That's my next purchase. Oh, speaking of, not drums, but I am getting away from these. These here. I gave these to my brother years ago when I upgraded to, I don't know, I got some ear pods that I really liked, and these were clamping my head too much, and he was using some trash earbuds, the like $20 ones that used to come on the iPhones, which were okay. They weren't bad, but I like really stepped it up. These were a major step up, but I couldn't deal with the clamping pressure. They would just get to me, and so I've been using these to do all my reactions, and clamping pressure, you've seen me play with my ears and my glasses. And also, I have to have two plugged in because the battery no longer works. All these are so finicky. I'm constantly cutting out. Like, they will work. You use the tools that you have. And that's what I've had for up until now. But I won't say what day, but I did age down a little bit last week. And the reason I say that is because I have always, for many, many years, I just start, whatever age I am, I just curb it up a year. And then January comes around, and now I'm a year older. So I'm actually like, in my head, I'm pretty much like 2 years older than I am. So my birthday comes along, and I'm like, shit, I'm a year or I'm 2 years younger than I thought. I'm truly get myself confused because I say it so many times throughout the year. I don't think about it. I just spout it out. And then I do the math, and I'm like, damn, I'm actually younger than I thought I was by like a year. And it's great. I suggest everyone do that. You have to, you have to do it so much that you literally just forget. But yep. Anyway, so I spent a little money on myself. I got me some real professional headphones instead of these Skull Candy Walmart. They were in clearance, open box, freaking. They were like $20 many, many years ago. And what's even better, I got actual studio monitors that shouldn't have so much interference. Yeah. It was very depressing in the sense that I misunderstood the deal. Guitar Center, when you go to buy monitors, it's always, you buy a single speaker generally. So if it says pair, it says pair. If it says each, it means you buy one each. Well, I look at all these listings and they're like 150 each, 200 each, 250 each, whatever. And then they had one on a 4th of July sale for like $130 or I don't even remember. But it didn't say each, so I'm assuming that's a pair. So I drive an hour and a half to get there. And I'm like, I want these, and I want some headphones. And I wanted to get the Tascams because I thought they would would look cooler. But in reality, I'm more of a functional person. And yeah, what I was reading is these are a little less fatiguing on the ears, so it's not like an endorsement. They haven't even been opened yet. In fact, we'll do that right now because I'm about to listen to Ivor. I've been stoked. I've seen a little bit of imagery, and I heard about 20 seconds of the first song. I'm like, wow, this is right up my alley. And if it goes the way I think, I don't know. I only heard the top track, like I said, and it wasn't the full song, but crazy because what I latch onto is the music that I would make if I had the ability. And what I mean by that, sometimes we like singers that we can sing along with because our voice sort of matches, or they do things that we hear in our head. If because I'm not going to say everybody, but some people hear music in their head, and that's my gift/curse. Is I always hear music in my head. And so the little bit of Ivor I heard was so funny. I was doing the exact same thing earlier that day at work. Once it's not around many. You don't sing around people generally if you don't have a good voice. So I'm just wailing. I'm off by myself, and somebody's walking. Like, what are you singing? And I'm like, I'm not. I'm just goofing off. But it was like it's like a chanting. It's kind of how I sing. Sort of like a howling, chanting, Indian. I love going to powwows and jumping into the circle. Beats usually always the same. One time they asked me to stop because I did add a little more than what should have been done. They were very polite, but they're like, that's not the style. And I'm like, I get it. I'm sorry. I just kind of got bored doing the same beat. But anyway, the chanting part, love it. Love it. It's been influential my whole life. So let's see what these AKG 240s. We'll do the unboxing here. Golly, this is supposed to be a 5-minute piece, and who knows where we're at right now. Yay. Another one of those I have. Don't think I need instructions. So, again, I have a lot more I want to say about the Aurora album, because I'm not sure I made myself quite clear. I love it. I've listened to it a lot. But the individual songs themselves, I was having trouble. I didn't feel like I had anything to add to the conversation. So that's where that ended up. I hope that these serve their purpose for years to come, because I didn't buy the extended whatever. They don't have their stair pad's not as soft, but they're a lot bigger. They're smaller. But I mean, what am I trying to say? They're not as thick. Thick. But boy, not having to worry about these little nubbins just falling out. That's gonna be great. So frustrating with what I was dealing with. They literally would just fall out. Like a mosquito could land on it and just knock it right out of the interface because it was so bent and broken and patched back together. Anyhow, I'm about to listen to Ivor on my new headphones. If you listen to this entire spill, that's a small part of what's been going on this week, the last 2 weeks. Psychological, but also cleaning house. And I guess I'll go ahead and say it. I did get heat sick. A full week. I was in very bad shape. Very, very bad shape. And then this week, I was able to sort of do a light duty. Well, shit, now I think about it, that wasn't light duty. I had to dig 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12 holes in ground that's as hard as concrete. But I did them fairly early in the morning, so yeah, it wasn't really light duty. But it wasn't the same as sitting on a mower in the heat to 4 or 5 in the afternoon and then getting off and going and working in the kitchen. So anyhow, feel a little bit better now. I felt great last Saturday because I got a long sleep, and I had already felt crappy for 4 days, and it was like the first day I was feeling better, and that's when I did like 5 videos back to back to back, and only released the first one because they weren't good enough. They just weren't good enough. And there may be 1 or 2 that do eventually come out if I get desperate. But anyhow, enough said about all that. Thanks for putting up with all this. I'm about to do Ivor, and it will be going up. Okay. You got to remember how to close stuff. Goodbye, and we'll see you soon.